All right. So last week I went ahead and gave you guys two takes about tag grading, pausing, their standard and regular grading. I gave you the take as a collector and fan that I am for tag grading. How I thought it's a good move because they're being transparent, letting everyone know what they're doing. They are increasing their workforce. They're relocating to a different area, and they're gonna go ahead and suspend some grading tiers, so that way they can go ahead and clear the backlog. However, you can still go ahead and grade with the express and walkthrough grading, right? And I'm like, the transparency is great. The communication that they're having from the company to the graders or to the fans and the supporters, it's fantastic, right? And then I went ahead and gave you my hot take, right? Where I put a tinfoil hat and saying, like, this is a hot take. This could be a conspiracy theory. That saying, maybe be careful with tag grading, right? Please understand that I love, like, and support what tag does for the hobby. I love their slabs. I like that they're eliminating human grading and going with AI parameters, right? Because AI is a tool, but it doesn't do everything. AI is a fantastic tool, right? And I support what it means for the hobby and for the collectors, right? But I just asked you guys, hey, let's just think about it a little bit. Let's think outside the box, right? And it turns out that tag supporters, tag fans are just as fragile as the tag slabs themselves, right? You guys are made out of sugar, man. You guys are melting away with a little controversy, with a little hot water. You guys melt, and it's ridiculous. But look, let me go ahead and clarify it and and I'm not going to go ahead and apologize. Hell no. I'm going to go ahead and double down on my stance, right? I love AI grading. I love the concept of it, right? Let's go down that rabbit hole. AI grading, what is it? What's it going to be the biggest benefactor of AI grading to subjective grading, right? AI grading are going to be companies like they've already talked about, Tag, which is kind of like what I talk about a lot, and who I grade with. Tag, we're talking about Degree, AGA, AGS, and I believe there's a couple more. There's a bunch, right? And whenever we're talking about subjective grading, this is where we have the old schools, so the old standards, the legends, Beckett, CGC, and of course PSA, right? But whenever we get to subjective grading, look, I'm gonna go ahead and start saying a couple things that maybe I didn't do any kind of research on it, but if I haven't heard it already from other content creators, then I can go ahead and safely assume this is based on assumptions. So, right, if I'm making an ass out of myself, oh, congratulations, I'll put it on video, I don't give a shit, right? I'm going to make a couple assumptions, right? But whenever these subjective grading companies are hiring people, they're hiring people off the streets. Because last time I checked, there is no university, no grading tech, no grading university of whatever state of the United States of America or whatever. There is no accreditation for subjective graders. Yes, whatever company I'm assuming hires them, there is a course they gotta take, there's training before they actually start doing their job. And that's gonna be exactly like every other job, right? If there is grading techs, like grading techs, universities and stuff like that, how come we don't know the names of the graders for PSA, for CGC, and Beckett, right? And this is like another rabbit hole, but let's go ahead and stick with this one, right? There's no professional accreditation for grading that is probably not funded, probably not lobbied, or installed by PSA's parent company, Collector, right? Is it Collector? No, it's not Collector. Or it's whatever, by PSA's parent company. If there is, I can guarantee you that they're probably involved financially one way or another, because there's resources to be made, obviously, in this grading market. It's humongous. People are trying to capitalize on it, right? Hence why we have all these grading companies coming out. But they're hiring people off the streets, right? And I'm not talking about homeless. I'm talking about people, regular people, left and right. And look, I look at my analytics. I saw that a lot of you guys subscribed because you guys didn't like my hot take. Oh, boo-hoo, who cares, right? But I'm looking at my analytics and I'm seeing that most of my viewers are going to be from the age 24 and up. I can go ahead and assume that my viewers either have gone to college, some sort of university, or they're working any kind of job. Now, as you're watching this video, whether you're driving in the car, touching yourself in the shower as you're washing yourself, or actually listening to me like in your TV or tablet or phone, like actually visually looking at this, you cannot tell me that you haven't worked with some dumbasses where you can be like, holy shit, how did this person get a job? How are they my co-workers, right? Even if you have degrees, credentials, and stuff like that, you can tell that maybe their IQ, it's not up there. Yet they have the same job as you do, getting paid the same amount, and even though the quality of their work is significantly worse than yours, right? And this can go even with college, right? We're pretty sure that we've been stuck in some classes where you have to do group projects and there's one or two people who don't do anything at all and you cover their ass, right? Or maybe you're that piece of shit. Hey, that's up to you. You do whatever you want to do, right? You can get by life however you want to. Now, those people are grading your cards, right? Those people are grading your cards. If they're not very good in their jobs, it makes sense why we are seeing couple PSA, CGC, Beckett's Labs with a certain grade that maybe don't deserve that grade. And this is where I love AI grading, because they can put parameters, they can do the machine to do grading, learn, grade, learn. It's always evolving, and always learning if this is truly AI, right? If tag grading is truly using AI, their system should always be learning, right? Especially whenever they keep grading the same cards. Parameters might change or they might not, but they understand like AI grading is a tool. It's not a person, right? It's a tool, right? But with subjective grading, my preferences, my visual preferences, I could have a tool, but if it falls close within the 45, 55, centering, top, bottom, left, and right, it's open to interpretation for the grader. Since maybe you'll see some 9s that could potentially be 10s, maybe you'll see some 10s that could potentially be 9s, right? That's where all that subjective grading is, right? So whenever I'm talking about tag and AI grading, I like what it does for the hobby. It eliminates that factor, right? So I love tag, I support tag, I like what they do, right? But tag is still a company. They're still a company. There's no way around it. Like, they're still a company. They're here. They kind of do care about you as a collector, but they're a company. They care more about their money, about what they get out of you, rather than just serving you, right? It is an independent company. It is not paid by the government, by the taxpayers, or anything like that. Its whole purpose, creation, is to make money for the people who started that company. You can't disagree with that. You can't, I'm sorry. It is what it is. That's the hard facts of this world, especially if it's a company based in America. You can bet your ass that the company, capitalism up the ass. Sorry. So I'm gonna get demonetized. Never was monetized anyways, right? Look, if they were honest, I love the transparency, but if they really cared about collectors, then possibly they would pause and suspend all the cards that they had, all the grading surveys, so they can clear the backlog, rebuild the infrastructure, and be ready for the next part, and do it as a grand reopening due to supply and demand. As I went to the trade night, there was a couple individuals that I talked to John. He was already come up in the channel, big tall guy with a mustache, who's told me that he has, I believe, 18 cards with tag. He paid express. He's already over 30 business days. I believe he's on business day 43. He loves it. He supports it. He keeps doing it. But he even went like what they're doing, right? It's frustration. He's pissed off about it because he's paid that good amount of money for those cards for them to be holding them back. I hope John gets reimbursed, gets a voucher or something, right? Because once again, they're happy taking away his money. They send you an email and okay, cool. That should be good enough. Like I said, if Tag Rating really cared about the people who are going to be affected right now, about their consumer base, they should absolutely go ahead and refund some of their money. Go ahead and give them a voucher for free for X amount of cards in the future. You know, there should be something about it. There should be something could be done about it, except them telling you, hey, we suspended standard and regular. We've gotten rid of bulk because you are so popular, but now we have to only limit you guys to the $60 entry with the longer turnaround time. You get what I'm saying? That's not the best business practice for your consumers. So this is where I'm saying like, hey, maybe just throw a challenge flag that I don't like that. You can voice your opinion and say, I don't like that. Personally, I don't like it. And that's because, look, I'm into grading, but whenever I'm grading a lot of things for my PC. I'm grading Cosmo Hollow Swirl cards. Those are going to be your cards from your blisters. You know, you can usually pick them up for a couple cents to like $2 to $3 depending on the Pokemon. I really don't want to pay $60 because there's a lot of blisters, a lot of promotional cards, $60 for every single one of them. You get what I'm saying? Like at that point, I'm like being a little financially irresponsible. $60, yeah, I'm not paying that for one card for 30 days. That is literally worse than PSA. That is literally worse than PSA. You know, yes, PSA still has a longer period, but Tag seems like to be taking advantage of their long turnaround times, hiking up their prices so you guys can go ahead and get them still within a month, right? But before, look, and this is going to be something, but like now you're doing $60. And look, I was grading with Tag for a while now. I've been grading Tag with them for a while, and I can honestly see where like I love it, right? But there's some things where like they're experimenting with maybe how much price they can get away with from their consumers, how much money they can take away, right? What is the sweet spot? Whenever I started grading with them, you can go ahead and access their bulk grading, $15 per card, and you had to meet a bare minimum of $20. $15 for 20 cards. You know, $15 per card. You had to meet 20 cards for the bulk submission. That's what they started off at, right? And I did like maybe like 2 or 3 submissions during that time. I was telling my friends we got everything ready. We could do another one, and then they went ahead and increased their price for $20, but then their bulk went from 20 cards to 10 cards, I believe. So now we're looking at $20 per card. But at that time, they were still having a pretty good turnaround time within 30 business days, so a month and a half. So I did 1 or 2 submissions during that time. And then they went ahead and unlocked or expanded their bulk grading requirement, their minimum, from 10 cards back up to 20. But the price didn't go from like $20. I think it went down to like either 17 or 19. Tag Chill, if you remember this, please go ahead and drop it in the comment. Please go ahead and correct me. But they went ahead and changed their prices. So it was no longer $15, but it was like closer to 19 if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's $1 cheaper. Yeah, you have to submit more cards. And I'm assuming people were working, right? Because we constantly have seen Tag's submission numbers consistently go up, right? And look, you're going to maybe be in the background or type a message, send a message. They're a company. Of course, they have to make money. If not, they're going to fail. Yes and no. If they've been as successful as they've been able to hire as many workers, get the location, now they're moving everything, they can go ahead and pause everything, focus on getting their place established all over again, and be okay. If they need to get more funds, they're a company, they got assets. I'm almost positive they can go ahead and take a loan against their company so they can meet payroll, cover the overhead. They can do everything they have to do so that way whenever they open, they can go back to max capacity without impacting the customers. This is where I'm telling you that's my hot take. That's where I don't like it. If tag was as transparent, right? And this is why I think maybe it's pissing you guys off as collectors. Look, as collectors, I'm okay with that. I understand that they are growing, right? But them eliminating certain levels of grading, only leaving the most expensive ones there, it kind of limits what kind of cards that you can grade, or maybe what kind of cards that you should grade. Yes, you should be able to grade whatever you want, right? But a lot of people right now in this hobby, you can't argue with me, are in it for the value. They're going to try to maximize their value on every single card by grading it. So that was my hot take, right? That's what I don't like about. This is my hot take, that maybe you really shouldn't be trusting tag as much, or you should be skeptical at the very least. Have your own independent thought. And when I'm talking about thought, sorry for my accent, but I'm talking about, your ideas in your head, and not those sweet ladies, those thoughts, those good times, those bad times, those ladies are good to look at, but they will ruin your life. I'm not talking about those thoughts. I'm talking about these thoughts right here in your head, right? Just be skeptical. Always think about more. Don't just be a sheep and listen to what every single company is saying. Look, if the government is not going to be telling you the truth every single time, what makes you think that a company invested to take away your money is always going to be telling you the truth? I'm not trying to be an asshole, right? Like I said, I love tag, but we have to be careful with some of their business decisions, right? That's all I'm saying. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of you guys couldn't handle that hot take, and you went ahead and thumbed down the video and unsubscribed. And I'm like, damn, you guys are worse than PSA fanboys. You guys really are. You guys can't take any hard criticism. You guys, I guess, are as transparent as the people that you are, or as a company that you support. If someone does say something that you don't like, which you can, it's up to, but that's what I'm saying. Look, here's my last thing. Okay, I do love tag, I do support tag, and I do think that tag down the road will probably, or AI grading, not necessarily tag per se, but it could be AI grading. AI grading down the road is probably going to be the best grading, or the best option for a while. And let me explain. If tag grading does take over the market, right, which they have a lot of obstacles to overcome, but I'm hoping if GameStop buys over eBay and PSA and everything that's collected, like in that part, then I think tag rating will overtake it, because usually everything that GameStop touches goes to shit every single time. It never fails. GameStop always does something shady that people, their support base, hey, gamers, right? Because gamers really love games. That's how GameStop originated, right? But GameStop was clearly taking advantage of their gamers, or their fan base, right? Not people who were trying to make money. They weren't taking advantage of streamers and everything like that. They're taking of their main consumers, right? But I see if GameStop really overtakes everything and like buys PSA, which I don't think ever would happen, right? But all that starts getting too much negative publicity, then I do see tag rating being, the main grading, mostly because there's going to be a lack of conflict of interest. Look, these companies like Beckett, like PSA, and like CGC, yes, their brand name, super important. Their image, right? Super important for consumerism. But the most important asset for all these companies are going to be their workers. if PSA, like I'm saying, I'm hoping PSA is paying their employees well, right? Because if PSA's employees start quitting, start striking, or whatever, then PSA is going to hurt. CGC is going to hurt. Beckett, SGC, all these subjective grading companies will take a toll. How do you eliminate that? You go with AI grading because it's easier and more easier. It's easier. You don't have to worry about their feelings. You don't have to feed their houses. You just got to feed the power bill. So I do see these companies maybe incorporating AI grading. There's a possibility that maybe even PSA already has AI grading to some capacity to help them alleviate the demand that they have, right? And if they're not going down that road, makes sense. But I think eventually that's going to be their own demise, right? But the most important asset that all these companies have are going to be their workers. Look, the last thing that any of these companies want to do is give any power to their graders. They don't want to tell you like, oh, this card is graded by La Michael Jordina, right? And La Michael Jordina has a fantastic track record of every single tens that they grade are tens. They have the best, stricter grading standards. While someone else like Scotina Pututina, Scottie Pippen. It's hard to make play on names with sport players, but you get what I'm saying. Or like Kobina Bryant, right? Whenever they grade and they give tens, they're typically nines because they let a lot of things go by, right? They don't want to do that. They don't want to give power to the graders. Also, this is what happens. People will see that because they understand that there's money behind grading, right? But all of a sudden, they're seeing that professional grader, Michaelina Jordanina, right? Let's go just Michaelina. Oh, I know where Michaelina lives. It's going to be easier to do backdoor deals, transactions, paying that person like, hey, can you go ahead and grade my cards? And every single time that you grade my cards, can you give them tens, right? It's going to be easier to bribe a professional grader than it is going to be easier to bribe a machine or a system, right? That doesn't mean that they can't go ahead and bribe the person behind the computer of tag grading, behind the person, to be a little bit more lenient, right? There's always going to be loopholes. There's always going to be getaways, right? There's a reason why in these governments we have these agencies that work behind closed doors. It wouldn't be any different if these grading companies started, giving power to the graders by putting the graders putting those graders in the slabs, like giving them credit, right? They wouldn't want to do that. That would hurt them, right? Especially now, that's really a conflict of interest as well, and that's where a lot of issues. That's why I like AI grading. It's going to be a lot harder to get there to buy and influence these people than it is going to be these subjective graders for these subjective grading companies, right? So that's where I see probably AI grading being the best way to grade, right? Because you eliminate a lot of human interaction, a lot of human emotions. And we're not talking about human interaction and emotions when it comes to just grading cards themselves, but all the things behind the scenes, like those jokes. If you get a grader in a bad day, you will see it on your cards, right? And I'm pretty sure at this point, some of these graders are having a bad day. You know why? Because sometimes they're grading the same cards over and over and over and over again. I'm telling you, that has to be exhausting. That has to be, maybe not to y'all, but as a postman, whenever I have a house that is constantly ordering and I got to deliver packages and packages and packages to the same effing house, I hate that house, right? Because it's easy. I know where the house, I'm never going to miss their package, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, it just gives me a bad relationship with that house, right? I'm pretty sure some of these graders already have bad relationship with certain cards, right? They just don't like them. So it makes sense why you might see an uptick on 9s when possibly they could be 10s, right? But it'll be easier to track down these employees, get them on payroll for certain people. That's all I'm saying. You eliminate that with AI grading, or you make it a lot more harder, or maybe a lot more easier if you know it's just usually one person. You get what I'm saying? It's an interesting. This is where my friend B. Ryan Kisser says that no matter if it's AI grading, or no matter if it's subjective grading, grading is a scam. And I can completely understand where he's coming from. Because you have to depend, at the end of the day, you have to depend on some humans to go ahead and give an extra number on your freaking card that all of a sudden it's going to increase the subjective number of it's going to increase the number of its subjective value, right? Because a card is only worth as much as a collector is willing to pay for that card. That's collecting 101, baby. That's a collecting market. A collectible is only worth what a buyer is willing to pay. So you see what I'm saying that? And tags grading new business model eliminate bulk grading, eliminate standard and regular, and making only the expensive options accessible. They're only worth what people are willing to pay. If you support tag and you're okay with paying $60 to $120 for a walkthrough grading or whatever they are, if you're willing to pay that, that's what you value tag, and that's okay with that. But if you think that is too steep for the service that they are providing for, I completely understand that too, right? It's okay to understand all aspects, but to get butthurt just because someone said that they don't like what you like, man, you guys are childish, and I hope you guys grow up. That's it from that. I do hope that you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.